Hello everyone, my name is Nathan Vader and today we're going to go through how I took one of these and took it from this and ended up with this. So I'm going to try my best to tell you guys how I basically got to this stage. It took a while, so there's probably going to be a bit to go through. So sit down and get ready. Okay, well I guess there's no real easy way on how to get started with this, so I'll just get started on it. So what I did first is I took this thing apart. So to take it apart, if you go onto the underside, there's probably loads of debris because I was using this for photos today, thank you. Underneath you will see there are a series of screws. Now not all these are contributing to taking the body apart, but I didn't know that when I first did it. So these two here at the front, these two here at the rear, and there are also some bonus hidden screws, if I can zoom in a bit, and they are really hard to see. There is a little, you can see just behind the wheel, there is another one upside in that wheel arch. So you can get to those, you just need to be really careful with your screwdriver moving the wheel forward a little tiny bit and you will get those out. Once you get those out, what you'll see there is some tabs there and there, there and there, and these do take some going to get them out. You notice here there's a bit of scuffing there where a screwdriver went in. So if you're doing this and you're a kid, you might want adult supervision because these do take some pressure to get these to pop. And I was doing one side at a time and then making sure these were well teased away because these do like to drop back in. And so once you've got those out, you should be able to then separate the body from the chassis, and then once you do that, what you're left with is, if I open up the doors, is there's the dashboard and the rear seats and this set of seats here, and those set of seats are held in with these two screws, and this set of screws are holding in this rear seat here. So once you take those out, there isn't a lot left inside, and also you'll find there are a couple of pins that are here and here which support the doors. So inside, if I can zoom in again, oh my goodness, too far, that's too much zoom for anyone. Just here, if I can use my pen because my human fingers are too fat, just there is a pin, so you have to make sure you get these in the right order when you go back in, because I believe the front ones are short, no, the rear ones are short and the front ones are long. So when you're putting these back in, you have to make sure they're the right way around and also the right way up, because these hinges can be put in upside down, which also I found out when putting this thing back together. Now just notice there, look, from factory there's a bit of red overspray there. That's definitely not me. But while we're at the wheels, why don't we look at the wheels? So as you get this out of the box, you will find the wheels are just a basic yellow and a black tyre. That's it. They should have had the BF Goodrich All-Terrain T/A tyre markings on there, but they didn't. So I went ahead and had a look on Google, and I found there was an image of the All-Terrain BF Goodrich decal that you would have. It was like the imagery that you would see typically on these tyres. So I took that image, put it into my computer, and made a couple of different sizes on just a Word page. I think it was Microsoft Word. It was nothing special. I have no special tech, by the way. I am very caveman-ish when it comes to these sort of things. And if I now zoom out, I'll show you what I made. So I did a couple of test pieces, different sizes, because I wasn't sure what would work with the Explorer's tyres. So I made a couple of different sizes and then just sort of cut them out and tried them on the side of the wheel wall. And once I was happy with that, I then got some water slide decal paper, which you can get in white back or clear. And I again made the mistake of buying clear, thinking, you know, this all-terrain logo is white, but in actual fact it's actually clear. So when I printed the clear, there was no white wall on the writing, it was completely clear, so it was black when I put it onto the tyre. So I had to order some white water slide decal paper, and the instructions were pretty easy to follow. You print it as you would on a normal piece of paper. You then let it dry for 5 to 10 minutes, and then you take it outside in a well ventilated area and give it a good couple of coats of clear lacquer, which again you'll leave. I left mine for a good few hours because I was a bit worried that maybe it might have some sort of negative effect or something, so I went against what the instructions said and waited a bit longer. And then yeah, you just do what you normally do with water slide decal papers. You just cut them out, put them into a little bit of water and wait up to a minute, and then you just really carefully apply them to the wheels. And I mean, they're not the best, but I mean, from a distance they do the job. I can't complain. And this I got from Amazon. This paper, I think it was a pack of 50 sheets for £11.99. So not bad value really, and I could probably see me using these in the future. I did in fact use something similar on my kit bashed lookout tower, InGen lookout tower, and I put a clear one on there with the InGen logo, which worked out quite nicely really. It looks like a proper prop from the film. But back to the wheels. Once I got that on there and I was happy, I then decided to fill in the inserts of these alloys, because these alloys, you should be able to see straight through these alloy wheels into the other side basically, but you don't, because these are one solid piece of plastic. So all I did very simply, just used some black acrylic paint and just really carefully filled those wheel holes in. Very thin, fine paintbrush and a hell of a lot of patience, because I messed this up quite a few times. So yeah, patience is a virtue. And once that's done and these are nicely dried, i.e. these and this, I then went over this with a satin finish clear lacquer, making sure to mask everywhere off unless it was this wheel and tyre, because I didn't want to get any overspray on the rest of the vehicle. And then once I've done the tyres, I then moved on to doing the window frames. So because this was all taken apart, I could do each door individually. So all I did was use some basic masking tape from Tamiya, really nice stuff, very strong, and just masked all the way around this window line that you can see. Also on this one out here, the glass obviously is not inside. You might be able to see it. Actually, you can just about make out inside. I'll use my pen again. Oh, it's got a hair on it, gross. Yeah, if you look just in there, you can just make out a cylinder which is actually a screw, and there's two of those, and what that is to hold the bubble roof spring mechanism. So there's two parts to it. It's the bubble roof section that has a hinge inside here, then there's a spring, and you also have the clear plastic roof section for here, and this is all one piece that drops out once you take those screws out. So just watch what you're doing when you take the spring out, because I'm not saying it's going to spring away, but these loose things like to wander if they're not carefully categorized. Catalogued, that's the word I was looking for. But it definitely makes it easier for painting when you've removed the glass, especially when you're doing edges like here, around here. But yeah, I painted all that, and then also once the glass was off, on the inside edge of the glass, you can see there's also a black line on the inside edge. You'll see this quite commonly on cars. They have this black edging strip here, and I have been told it's to dissipate the heat that travels through the car window, to make sure that the glue they've adhered the glass to the body with doesn't soften or give up its grip. But it's just another little bit really you can add onto the car just to make it look that little bit more real. I mean, I'm not going for full realism, but just a little bit more movie accuracy, I guess. But it's still a toy at the end of the day. I mean, you know, give me a break. And while we're on the subject of windows again, as the bubble roof has been removed, if I push this down a little bit, you can see that the bubble roof also has had the last, I'm going to say, 2.5 millimeters of edge has been masked, and you can see there is a black line passing all the way around, which gives the illusion when it's popped up. You can see there's the black edging strip going all the way around, which is like the weather seal that they had on these vehicles when they cut the roof out. The masking goes from this window, by the way, all the way around across, because Jurassic Bap pointed out to me that I forgot this section here, so I did go back and spray this, so masked all this off around here, including the wing mirror, and once all these had been done, I then kept all the masking tape on still and give this another blast of satin lacquer, just so it wasn't a matte finish but it wasn't glossy either, so there's like a nice little sheen to it, but it's not over the top. That also applies to all of these trims around here, the very edge here. You've also got a little bit of paint just on the boot sort of latch thing there, and these two tabs for the hinges. They've gone to the extent, see, I like this, when you're messing with these things you can start to see the details. They've even added the little dimples for the rear glass. I think it's for the hinge or something, but yeah, very cool, very impressed with that detail. So now we've got all the basics. I mean, you know, once you've done some masking for one window frame, you kind of know what you're doing with the rest of them, so I don't have to explain the other side. The windscreen, the glass didn't come out of the windscreen, so you have to be extra careful when masking, so I basically masked off the entire piece of glass, and then went around the edging trim, masked that as well, and then gave that a spray. And I also went to the trouble of painting the windshield wipers, because they did get caught with the masking tape. So one part was sprayed and the other bit was green, so I just went back and touched them in with a brush. On the front, nothing was painted as such, but the track sensor cameras had to be installed. And on normal non-modified Explorers, you will see there is just a round flat disc that's been incorporated into the plastic to mimic these. But I wasn't happy with that, so if you can see, there's actually they're actually standing out, they're proud. And I was wondering for a while what I was going to use for these, because it's quite an odd shape and it's quite small. I believe the width was 5 millimeters, which is quite small, so I was thinking, what could I get for 5 millimeters? So I just went on a quick Google search and put in 5 millimeter clear balls, and after a lot of weird results that popped up, one that really stood out was it was a belly piercing bar, and it was a clear plastic one with 2 threaded balls either end, with different varying lengths of bar. So I ordered one of those. It was £1.99 free postage, and yeah, I just took a drill and carefully opened up the plastic on here, which is quite soft plastic, and open it up to just under the width of these balls, and just dropped them in, and I think they turned out really nice. I mean, they just give that wonderful illusion of a camera, and again, it's just that little bit more detail again that just adds to this vehicle and just makes it look less of a toy and more of a collector's piece, which is pretty cool. Also, I completely forgot to do the aerials. I'm not sure what they do in the film. I guess that's just what they do to transmit information back to the office where Ray Arnold is. But these are just basically bent paper clips. I kid you not, I just bent some paper clips and drilled a tiny little hole right in the side of the front of the wing mirror, just in front of it, because I think in the film it is in front of it as well. And yeah, just drill a hole and paint the suckers black, and that's it. And they do the job. Can't complain. Nice easy fix, I like those. Right, so moving to interior. So while you've got the interior out, it's incredibly easy to do with the interior out. I just painted the interior firstly with a sand beige, and then I went over, because this center console is in two pieces, I could do this individually. This front section is attached to the car, oh well, to the dashboard, but if you can see there, I actually tried and tested this wood effect finish, which is basically just using different coloured browns, and while the paint from the previous brown is still wet, you then apply another one in a lighter coat with light brush strokes going the same way, and then some, if it's darker like this area here, you would then take it in a different direction to give that wood grain effect. And once you've done that a few times, you built up different layers, you just leave it to dry. And what I did then is I masked off the area that I didn't want to get affected, so anything but the wood was covered up, and then I just hit that with a clear lacquer to give that lovely gloss finish you can see. And then you just paint all the accents individually, so all the heater vents and the well, where the dials would be for the dashboard, those are all painted black. There's some aircon settings and other buttons and stuff, very minimalistic compared to what's actually in the car in the film, but it did the job. And also I found that this steering wheel was just about 20 millimeters. So again, I had a look on Google and found there was someone selling a piece of plastic acrylic that was in that shape and size for 99p, I think it was, on eBay. So if you just look up those sort of things, you can find those. And again, it's not amazing. There is a bit of glue you can see there, but it mimics that cover that they have over the steering wheel to prevent people who are riding in the vehicle to tamper with the steering while it's in its tour program. Now, speaking of tour program, you've probably noticed, if I can get my pen in there, there is in fact a screen. So you do have these in the vehicles that you do get, but they are just one piece of plastic. Same again for the one in the rear. They are just a complete brown piece of plastic that just has an outline of where the screen is. So all I did for that is I got a Dremel and pierced the hole through, and then just opened it up with a file and just kept filing it until I got the shape that I wanted of a screen. I did put a slightly rounder shape onto the one on the driver's setup, but you can't really tell. It's not that big of a deal. It's so small you can't really pick up on these things. But I did it to both, and then I basically got a bit of DVD casing for a backing screen and slid that in there. And I was going to keep it like that, but it did look a bit boring. So what I did is I went on to Google again, because Google is our friend, and found some park map images, and just basically put a couple onto my Microsoft Word again, sized them up, cut them to size, and then got a bit of Mod Podge inside the dashboard, and very carefully applied that. You probably have seen that on my Instagram if you've been following me. And once that was done, that's it really for the interior. Oh, apart from the door cards, which were all just basically the same again. It was just a sand beige with the same wood effect that they have on the door inserts by the grab handles. So again, just take your time. I mean, they aren't perfect because I didn't know where to stop with them. I should have probably done the black up to the edge here, but then I was worried that you might see the black once the doors close, so I just did it like that. So you know, it'll do. And when the door's closed and you're looking from the inside, I think that looks pretty cool. It's just the little details that just grab your attention. I just love the effort that they went into making this vehicle, and when you're actually working on it quite hands-on, you start noticing these things and appreciate that a lot more. But you might have noticed also that there's a battery in the back, so we'll get into that next. So, lighting. I didn't know whether I was going to do this or not, but I ended up doing it because I did know it was going to be a pain, but I knew it'd be worth it. So I thought, right, I'll have a go. And while the body was off, I just set it up very simply onto the chassis. And what I use, if I can get one here, is this. It's a pre-wired LED. I'll move this to the side just for a second. yeah, it's a pre-wired LED, so all the resistors and everything in there, and they work on relatively low voltage. I'll just get a battery so I can demonstrate here. We have a very quality Daewoo battery, more dirt from today's photos, and I'll just show you if I can get it to work. There's negative, yes, and there's the positive, and there's the light show. Yes, so that got me thinking, right, how am I going to set this up into that? So what I did is I did a little layout of where I was going to have the lights set up. So I've got headlights, if you can just see them there, it's a bit hard to see them through the grille, but the headlights there, you've got the, if I turn them on, you've got the interior lights for the interactive CD-ROMs, and then at the rear end you've got the rear lights as well. So I did a little doodle. So this is basically what's in this vehicle. You've got your headlight LED, your side light LEDs, your CD-ROM dash CD-ROM, your 9-volt battery which is in there, and your 2 rear lights. And it's very simple how to do this. It doesn't take a lot of brains, and trust me, I don't have a lot of those. That's what my dad keeps telling me anyway. You just take your LED and say you want to do headlight and side light. So all you would do is take the headlight and side light, and I twist those together. So if I hold those like that, and now those two are connected. I don't know if you can see that there. There's the red and there's the white. So that's representing a rear light and a headlight. So that's all you would do, is you would daisy chain the reds and the blacks together. There are a couple of ways you can connect these cables together. You could, the easiest way would be to solder these together, but I understand that some people can't get soldering irons. So one way would be to twist them together, and then you could double them over and tape them, so you know that connection is going to stay together. So I just double that over like so once it's twisted, and then tape it with some electrical tape. That would probably be the quickest, simplest solution. The other alternative is using a cable connector block. You can get these in various different sizes, and I do know they do these in very small sizes. So again, it would just be a matter of you stripping the cable, twisting it together, and then putting it into a connector block, and using a small flathead screwdriver would make the connection solid and safe. But solder is what I've used. I just soldered them and used a bit of heat shrink tubing and put it over the joint and, well, sealed it up, so there's no way there's going to be any cross connections or short circuiting. And what I was doing was going from the headlight and side light, I was connecting those two together, and then this headlight and side light together, and then coming to here and then coming across. So all I would have would be 2 cables, because I've connected all the other red and black cables together. So I'm cutting down on how much cable is going to be traveling back towards the end of the vehicle. Basically all I want is 2 cables. So I'm going to go from side light, headlight together, and then there'll be 2 cables coming to this CD-ROM, and then again daisy chain to this CD-ROM, and then come out of here with 2 cables, then go to the rear light here, the rear light there, and then eventually 2 cables joining up with the red and black that come out of the 9-volt battery holder, which also I have used on the InGen outpost, which is basically this. And this is what you have at the very end in the trunk of the Ford Explorer. It's very basic stuff. I mean, this costs 99p from eBay, and it comes with an on-off battery switch, which is kind of handy if you can get access to it, but I don't have access to it really in the Ford Explorer, because you have a rear seat in the way, which isn't too bad. If you want to get the seat out, you just take those 2 screws out and the bench seat comes out the back. But I wasn't having that, because I didn't want to keep doing that all the time. So out of the battery you would have your live and neutral, the red and the black, and the black can continue from the battery to the LEDs, but the red will come out of the battery holder and go through one side of this switch, then come out the other side and continue to the LEDs. It's as simple as that. So all you do is do that, and then what I did is I cut a hole out of the spare wheel holder, because you don't see this when it's under the car, and that enables you to switch the lights on and off with the greatest of ease. And to hold the LEDs in place, I wasn't using anything fancy, I was just using hot glue. So I would just, well actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. What I would first do is I would have to make a way for these to come out of the body. That's probably what you're asking yourself, well, how did you do that? Well, all I did again was I carved out, you probably see it through the grille. If I turn the lights off for a second. You can just about make out the sticker, and what I did is I cut out a rectangle on the very rear end of the sticker, and then in the center of that rectangle I drilled a hole just big enough for the LED's head, which is only small anyway. These are only 5mm. There it is there. It's absolutely tiny. I drilled a hole big enough just for that to pass through to shine the light, and sat it just on the inside edge. So if you saw the LED on the inside edge of this body, it would be just there. And then I just hot glued that onto the sidewall on the interior of this body and wait for it to go off, and then that's ready then to be connected to the other one. The same thing happens there. The front end is a lot trickier, and this is not for the faint-hearted, trust me, because if you get this wrong, you will go wrong big time. So on the front end, you've got this headlight setup just here, and you can see the line that passes all the way around to the side. And if you're good at this, then you'll be fine. But if you're new to this, I would probably seek some help from a professional, because it's a little bit tricky. So this plastic is quite soft, and you could go quite far without even knowing what you've done. So I would definitely err on the side of caution when doing this. Drill a hole again. Just there is a line. If you can just make out, just on the edge of where I've cut in here, there's a line that goes all the way around that signifies the sticker placement for the headlight. So I removed the sticker and was left with that line, which helped me guide my way around this when I was carving it out. So I would drill out the majority of it, and then I just used a small flat file and just carved away at it until I got that edge that I was looking for. And yeah, it didn't turn out too bad, but I was completely terrified the whole time, thinking if I drilled too far or I filed too far, it would have shown through. And I just want to point out as well, this is another thing to look out for when buying these vehicles. I didn't have this choice, unfortunately, because this is the side you don't see, but I was incredibly careful with this, the whole build process. And this scratch here was present when I opened it out of the box, and this one here as well. I mean, I really took care of this when I was building it, but unfortunately sometimes quality control gets in the way of that fun. So yeah, you've got to be careful when buying these things. Have a really good look at it when it's in the box, when you do see these on shelves, which I believe they are in America now. And for the headlights themselves, I was thinking to myself, what the heck am I going to use as the headlight glass? Because I was going to make a flat piece of the DVD case plastic like I did for the screens, and then I was looking at the corner of the DVD case. I'll just put that to the side for a second. And I was looking at the case corner, I was thinking, well, hang on a second, that thing's already got the edge. It's got the corner of the headlight that matches the Ford's body already, and I can just cut it to the length for the headlight. So that's what I did. I just measured the length, which I think is like about there, and chopped it off. Very careful, because this DVD case plastic can be brittle, so just go easy when cutting it. I was using like a junior hacksaw just to take the majority out, and then sort of filed it off to get it just to the right size. And once I was happy with the sizes, if I get the car again, I then just turned her upside down and just kept checking loosely, just pushing it in. And you've got loads of space in here. There is a black plastic tab which is about 45mm wide, just to mimic the interior of the engine bay there, but it's just there, and there's nothing else there. There is a couple of uprights. Just trying to look myself here. There is an upright for this screw here and this one here, which will get in the way of the LED. So what I did is, because this thing travels all the way up, I cut it so it still held the body in, because it comes up to here and it is molded to the interior of this body. It's not just like a loose cylinder, but I did cut it off from just underneath the headlight to the top to give me clearance for the LED to pass through. And then yeah, I just popped that little clear piece inside the headlight, and again just hot glue, a couple of dabs, and it held it in place. And then all I did after that was place the LED for the headlight, which you can probably actually see just in the center there, a little tiny yellow dot there is the headlight, and just to the side is a bit of translucent orange paint, which I put as the side marker, but there is also an orange LED there just to give it that little bit more of an orange glow for the side marker light. So when you turn it on, you get that really nice warm white, and you can't pick it up on the camera, it's just too bright, but there is an orange glow there. But it works really well in photos, and it just makes it so much cooler with working lights. And as for the rear lights, if I just go back to that again, once the hole was drilled and the LED was set in place, all I did was use the same DVD plastic and made a rectangle that would cover that cutout that I made, then got some light sandpaper and scuffed up the DVD plastic case so it would be helping to diffuse the LED's light, and then also added some transparent red paint to the outside edge of the DVD case plastic, and that just really finished it off. I mean, it just has that really nice typical like early 90s vehicle rear light glow that they had. None of this LED stuff back in the day. It was all, you know, just normal bulbs. But yeah, I am thinking of a rear partial shelf to cover up this, because the battery is just rattling around at the minute, but this is still a work in progress. This thing's never ending. Just when I think I'm done, I always find something else to do with it. But after you've done all that, I mean, that's it really. I mean, I haven't really got that much more to add to it. I mean, you don't have to do everything that I've done here. You could probably do just bits. I mean, if you added the black to the sides and the roof and the rear, this thing would just transform its look straight away. Because if you look at the original, if I just get the original for a second. Oh, I forget how heavy this thing is in the box. If you look at the original now that you've seen the one with the black outlines, it looks weird without it. I mean, I can't now look at them the same way. I have to have these black trims done now. It can't be without. Even this rear one looks weird without it. It just doesn't look right. You know, it just looks. It just looks weird. So definitely, if you're not feeling up to doing the challenge of doing the LEDs, then I completely understand, and it is not a 5-minute job. It's something that takes time, and for me this was over 2 weeks, just doing it in the evenings or at the weekend whenever I had time, because I was not going to rush this. I was not going to rush it at all, and most of it was finding the stuff to do the job. So like the camera lights, and how I was going to get around the headlights, and the LEDs, waiting for those to come in. And the LEDs, by the way, are really cheap. I think they cost me a total of £6 for the rear, the front, the sides, and the CD-ROM lights, which is incredibly cheap. Say it was only, I think, 99p or £1 for the battery holder itself, and I got a pack of the battery switches from Amazon for $3.99. I got a pack of 5, so if I ever want to do something else, I can do. But yeah, that's about it really. I mean, I would go through it a little bit more in depth by taking this apart, but to be honest, I never want to do that again. It was just, it's too much faff. Yeah, it's too much faff for me. The central tunnel, actually, speaking of faff, yes, the central tunnel, when you're putting the LEDs in, if you are going to be brave enough to do this, you need to, if I can get my pen, because my fingers are too fat again. The cable that passes from the headlights, like we saw in the diagram, have to pass through this tunnel and then go into the other CD-ROM in the back. So your LED has to sit, if I can open this one up, see, I've got a bit of light bleed, but me don't care. Your LED sits just inside this section of the CD-ROM, and you can probably just make out I hid the cables in this little tunnel here that passes back. They're just there, but I painted them black so they don't really stand out. So yeah, you have to make a channel, which there is room. There is a channel inside here to pass the LEDs from one side to the other, and you just need to chobble some bits out. But this thing has like a locator tab, so as long as that's intact, this thing will still lock into here. And there is a screw that holds, if I could just push that door closed, there is a screw that holds this section to the seats, and then the seats to the chassis. So as long as you're not damaging the screw that holds this to the seats, you should be fine. But that's all I did. I kept the cables to one side as well, to simplify it, to get to the other CD-ROM, and then from there the daisy chain carries on to the rear end. I keep thinking of new things that I've forgotten that It's done. But yeah, like I say, you couldn't have explained this in just a single tweet or comment on an Instagram post. It's too much info to pass on to anyone. But I hope this was informative, because I'd like to see other people do these modifications. I think this vehicle deserves this kind of modification, this kind of treatment, this kind of love. But I hope you guys enjoyed this sort of, I guess, an in-depth look at how to mod one of these. But let me know if I've forgotten anything, because there was a lot to go through here. So if you guys have got any more questions, please feel free to drop a comment, and I'll see what I can do to help, especially if you've got any issues finding this stuff, or other methods, other ideas on what to add to this. I know there's other things missing, like the cameras that sat on top of the dash, but unfortunately, because this thing's so small, the dash space here, I don't think I'd have enough room to put the cameras up there. But tell you what you could make. You could make the I think there's a rear view mirror here with the car vehicle number registration ticket that's hanging from it. I mean, that'd be cool. That's another thing I could make. But for now, I'm not doing it. And one more thing I almost forgot, because I finished this, I thought I would celebrate by making a Ford Explorer paint-themed T-Rex. I have no idea what I was thinking, but I think it turned out actually pretty alright. I mean, I wanted to make it look so it was more organic rather than the, bright green, but it does have those colours going on, and the red striping for matching the roof of the Ford Explorer, and going from the green down to the yellow. And then I just sort of experimented and did a little bit of a foot thing there, different colour to the norm, so give it some brighter claws. And yeah, I have no idea what I was thinking. But I think that pair goes well together, actually. I don't know, you tell me what you think. Do you like it? I think it looks great. I called it the Explorer X, I think now. Yeah, it's the Explorer X. Thank you guys for watching. My name's Native Vader. I post on Instagram and Twitter almost daily, And of course, it's always Jurassic related. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Yes? Yes. Bye for now.